There's one. Down here. Okay, so right here's your two. Alright. I always start out by sanding and prepping the spot of the slice. On this tire, there's two spots, one down by the rim or the wheel and one up further. So I sand it down real well, not only to scuff, but also to remove debris. And in these areas with ribs or lettering, I try to sand it down the best I can to make it a relatively flat surface. So sometimes this takes a little bit of work to really get in the grooves, smooth it all out. But just take your time, use the sandpaper, sand it down really, really nice, and make it nice and smooth to adhere everything to. And then I like to take some water, rinse off, wipe it down, especially the powder and the fine residue. And then I usually take my air hose and just try to blow off the extra water so it all dries faster. Prepping the spot is going to be really critical for how long and how well the rubber patch adheres. And then I usually take the pocket knife and I just make sure the holes are easily seen where they are, and I try to take a little bit of glue and put down.
Here, come out park, put the glue on, because it just blows it right back out in my face.
Now, putting the glue into the crack, making sure I really get it down in that groove well, and I want it in the crack first, because that helps seal that part of it up before I put the patch on. And then I'll take my pocket knife and I'll try to just spread it apart a little bit to get that glue to go down in the crack. Then I cut my pieces to size, and I always try to overlap the slice by 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch all the way around. It gives better surface area for it to glue to, but it also makes it so it's harder for the air to come out when there's a 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch all the way around the slice that's also stuck fast. It helps it work a lot better. But some of the sidewall areas, you're not going to have that luxury of having endless amounts of space to work with. Sometimes you just have to use the pieces that you can to cover the area up. And then I take the glue and I kind of seam it or glue weld the edges also. That helps it so they won't catch on rocks or sticks or anything. And if you're opening the glue, you're pretty much going to use it all anyway. And whether it's the supplied glue or a different glue, either way, you're going to use the whole thing of glue. So just use that to make it stick as best as you can. So I always go right around the edges, let that seal up. Now with super glue, you also have to be a little careful. If you use a lot of super glue, it makes it take longer to dry. Where if you put a little on, let it dry, put a little bit more on, let it dry, it sometimes goes a little faster. It all depends. And I always end up with the glue on my fingers and such anyway. So now I'm just holding the patches down, and I usually shave off the edges just a little bit to make it a little bit of a taper. Again, just so it doesn't catch rocks. It makes it more of a smooth surface that will slide over top of rocks and obstacles better. It won't catch and try to tear off the patch. So just shaving the edges down a little bit helps, but you have to have a nice sharp knife, and you want to shave it nice and easy so you don't slice the tire or make it worse. Now you can see where I have these two glued on. There's a little bit of excess glue around the area, but that's fine. That just wears off. And this is now going to be the spare tire for this vehicle, but patching it up, taking it the time to let it dry and adhere really helps. And then I check it, make sure it is staying on nice and tight. The patches are holding, that there's no wet glue left over. And this is what it should look like when you're done. This one I actually notched out to fit the shape of the tread. And then the tire I was working on, that's what it looked like when I was all said and done. Now, there's a decent amount of excess glue, but like I said, that'll all wear off.